Let's review Muktasana, freedom pose, which is a standing backward bend that's going to open the chest and shoulders, improving posture, as well as opening the breath. We begin this pose in Tadasana, and we step our left leg back about 2 to 3 feet from the front toes to the back heel, so not a very wide stance. And you'll notice Karen steps straight back, so we don't want to step behind that right foot. That'll be difficult to balance. So be sure that the feet are about hip width apart. And ideally, we want the toes, knees, and hips all facing forward. However, most people need a little bit of a turnout in that back foot, not very much. If you do need to turn out the foot significantly, as Karen has here, about a 45-degree angle, it's best not to square your hips to the front. Just let that left hip open a little bit so that the back knee is not being twisted. Otherwise, square the pelvis if you can, and if you're able to point the toes forward. Let's look at the rest of the pose from a side view. So we're going to have the front knee bent above the ankle as we step that left leg back. We want equal weight distributed between both feet. Okay, and to enter with the arms, we'll inhale, circle them up, connecting the palms. Exhale as we soften the shoulders, bending the elbows lightly. And then on your next inhalation, we really want to lift the chest, especially the mid-back, drawing the entire spine into a dynamic backward bend, a uniform arc here, all the way up through the neck. So as we look softly upward, the back of the neck stays long. It does come into a backward bend, but we don't want the head to drop back sharply into that jackknifed position. If we have the tendency towards sway back, we can draw the navel in toward the spine or tuck the tailbone down toward the floor. Looks great. And with every breath, we can continue to lift through the chest. However, we don't want to lean back and drop our weight back. So notice in this pose that the shoulder joints stay stacked above the hip joints. And it might look like a gentle back bend, but it shouldn't feel that way. It should feel really dynamic. One way to make that happen is to actively press down through the back foot, lengthen forward through that leg, so it gives you a greater sense of lifting upward here. Keep that front knee bent over the ankle. And as we tune into the affirmation, this pose can really help us to experience upliftment, centeredness, and inner joy as we silently affirm, I am free, I am free. And to come out, we'll inhale as we straighten up through the leg and arms, exhale them out to the sides, pausing in Tadasana to integrate the pose before we repeat on the other side. We wanted to show you some variations for the arms. If you have tight shoulders when you come into the pose, those arms might float out in front, and we want to avoid going into a sway back position. So we can always bend the elbows a little bit more. That's fine. We can also separate the hands in this pose or bring the hands down to a prayer position and still keep the pose dynamic as you lift through the spine. And that was a review of Muktasana, freedom pose.